Good evening, 6th graders. Welcome to Chapter 4 in Cells and Classification. This is Lesson 38, and we'll be covering pages 78 to 80. When we talk about organisms, the definition of an organism is a complete living thing. And then there are several organisms that we'll talk about in this lesson. We have very tiny organisms, things that you can only see with a microscope. Plants, animals, and then we are humans or people. Now, in order for something to be called living, it has to have 5 characteristics. There are things that we use, for instance, such as my iPad that I'm using to record, or a projector, or a computer, and it may have some of these characteristics that make it look like it's living or moving. But in order for it to be a living organism, it has to have these 5 characteristics. The first one, a living organism must grow and develop. And the word develop means to mature, not only in their body, but in their mind and in their spirit. As they get to an adult, they do not do childish things anymore. From birth until death, this is what we call our lifespan or life cycle. And all organisms go through this. They have a process of birth, they grow, they reproduce or go through reproduction, and then finally all organisms will die. For humans, actually the beginning of life starts at conception, but what we call our lifespan, our life cycle, begins at birth. And then we grow old, hopefully we get married, we reproduce, and then eventually death will come to all humans. The second characteristic is living things can reproduce. This is a picture of a baby being born. And we find out that life only comes from life. A dead thing cannot reproduce life. And inorganic objects such as this desk or such as my iPad cannot make life, cannot make a living organism. The birth is the first stage of life, and anything that makes a copy of themselves is called a parent. You have 2 parents, you have a mother and a father, and the seed from the father united with the egg in your mother to create you. And it's not an exact copy of your parents. You have chromosomes or DNA from both of your parents to make you unique from your parents. But you are a copy of your parents. And then it's important that living organisms, whether plant or microscopic or humans, that they reproduce, because eventually all organisms die and the new organisms will replace the old ones. The next characteristic of life or living organisms is they must respond to their environment. The environment is the non-living things, for instance, the sun, the soil, water, the air. That's all non-living things. All organisms respond to danger in different ways. For instance, an animal or human, if they experience danger, they'll do one of 3 things. They'll either run away from the danger if they have the choice. They might take a defensive posture, meaning they'll get ready to fight. For instance, if a snake feels like it's in danger, it will raise its head up and to intimidate the danger that's trying to attack it. And then the last one, it might have to attack to protect itself. Now, you see this video clip of these sunflowers. They're responding to their environment. You can see the sunflowers move with the sunlight. Okay, they're responding to their environment, the non-living thing, sun. And however, plants, they can't run away from their danger. But God has provided them a way to protect themselves. Sometimes they have thorns. Sometimes they have poison. Sometimes they have sticky substances, or they taste bad. So predators don't eat all of these plants. So God makes a way for us to protect ourselves. The next characteristic of life is that living things use energy. We can see this cheetah running. In order for him to run or to do work, the ability to do work, he's actually doing work. It doesn't seem like he's working, but according to science, he is working. In order to work, you have to move an object using force over a distance. So by force, he's pushing off the ground with his legs, and he's moving to a different position. In order for him to do that work, he needs energy. And how we get energy is by consuming food. Even if an organism is resting or sleeping, your body is still, or any organism is still using energy. The only time it does not use energy is if the organism has died. And when an organism uses energy, it will make waste. And there's two ways, for instance, animals and people make waste. Through digestion, eating food, and respiration, breathing in oxygen, the combination does a chemical reaction in your body and makes glucose or sugar to give your body energy. Then your body will use that to do work. But in using this sugar, that energy makes waste. When you're breathing, the waste that you use is, or you expel out of your body, is carbon dioxide. And we won't talk about the other waste that comes out of your body after you eat food. The last one, that all living things are made from cells. Now, either if it's a plant or an animal, everything, like we watched in the video yesterday, everything is made of cells. But we're not going to talk about these cells with this lesson. We're going to connect it to the next lesson. So, be ready for some questions tomorrow. Read pages 78 to 80, and I'll see you then.